Hi and welcome back to my channel. If you remember, at the end of 2020 I've made a video about my plans for 2021, and in that video I shared with you that I wanted to try some wildlife photography and that I bought a lens for this. And in this video I would like that you are saying hello to my new little friend. This is the Tamron 150 to 600 millimeters, the G2 version. It has a maximum aperture of f5 at 150 millimeters, and at 600 millimeters the maximum aperture is 6.3. First of all, I would like to say that this is not an unboxing video, as you can see, because the lens is already out of its box. Because YouTube is already full of unboxing and review of this lens, and I will not add any more value on this. What I can do is to give my impressions about the first shooting that I had with this lens. I think this is more value than just opening a box and watching the content and reading some characteristic of the lens. Now, why I bought this lens? Well, first of all, because of its price, let's be honest. But the thing is, I'm not doing wildlife photography as a main subject. So I don't see the point in investing much more money on a lens dedicated for wildlife photography when I'm doing maybe 2 or 3 times per year for fun. I think that for fun is already a good amount of money for this lens. And because I've made a lot of researches and I've asked a lot of opinions about this lens to people that they used really often this lens and not only for a review, I've made my mind up and I've decided to buy the Tamron 150 to 600. Okay, is not so has not so big aperture at the longest zoom point, the 600. You have 6.3. So maybe you need to crank the ISO a bit for having fast shutter speed to freeze the movement, but with the full frame camera I don't see any problems in doing that. So for me this was not the problem. Okay, with maybe the f4 at the longest zoom you have other results, but for what I think that I'm doing is totally fine. Like I said, I will use maybe 3 or 4 times per year doing wildlife because I'm not doing wildlife every time I'm going out shooting. So I think it was already a good amount of money investing in this for fun, let's say, and not for professional use. And for professional use, I don't mean that with this you can have professional result. But I'm not selling wildlife images to newspaper or online agencies that they are specialized in wildlife. So I'm not focusing my job on this. And for this, I also don't need to invest much more money in something more, giving me more, let's say, performances. Even I'm totally happy with this. We can have a look at the images later, and I'm really thinking that was my good choice. Now, where did I go for my first outdoor when I can't go where I want during this time? I'm quite lucky enough to live quite close to a lake called Propstingsee here in Borken, where I live. I need just really 5-10 minutes walking and I'm there. I'm also there every day to walk the dog, so I know the area quite well, and I've seen already a lot of wildlife, and Often I thought, pity that I don't have a telephoto lens, a good one, the big zoom, because this scene would have been very nice to have on photo. So now I have, and I just need to go out there more often with this lens and to try to capture some nice images. There at the lake, we have a good amount of wildlife. For example, we have squirrels on the ground. Then on the water there are coots, swans, geese of several kinds, also Canadian. Then we have cormorants. We have in the forest behind the lake woodpeckers, cuckoos. I have seen also birds of prey waiting to catch something at the lake. Sometimes I also saw kingfisher, but I saw how fast they are, and I don't think that I can take a photo of one of them, because this means really spending hours and hours every day at the lake. And as I mentioned, it's not my job to do this, and so I don't see myself trying, but who knows, maybe I'm lucky and when I'm there, there is also the kingfisher, who knows. So I went there, first of all because it's close to where I live and it's the only place where I knew that I could have some wildlife, yeah, I can only go there because on places where I have maybe also flamingos or so, I can't visit these places at the moment because of the restrictions. But I'm lucky enough to live close to this lake, and I went there for this first shooting. Now, to be honest with you, I don't like any of the photo that you have seen. I enjoyed a lot the experience of shooting with this lens. I totally like it, and the images are sharp, no questions at all. I like the lens, and I'm convinced about my purchase, so I'm not regretting. I like the lens. The thing is that I don't like the scene where the cormorant was was backlit, and so for having some more detail on the front, I needed to slow down the shutter speed, and so the area behind the bird was blown out and was also sitting on a place that has too much chaos around. So there are branches everywhere behind the head. I did not like so much the scene, but unfortunately at that time was the only opportunity I had to shoot some wildlife. All the other animals that I've mentioned before, they were not in the right spot again, they were too far, or the swans, they were not there. No squirrels, even though the morning before I've seen them going up and down the trees and playing. That morning, nothing. So the only thing that I've seen was the cormorant, and then I decided to make some photo of it. But the scene I really don't like. The photos are sharp, the lens I like, and I also wanted to test it without a tripod or a monopod, even if I have. But I wanted to see if just using by hand and holding was possible to handle, if it was too heavy or not. The only thing is that you really need to hold from the bottom, because it's quite heavy, and you don't need to hold only the camera without having a hand on under this, because there is the risk that the contacts between the lens and the camera are damaging. It's quite heavy, but it's nothing that you can't manage. This is really why I wanted to try without the monopod or the tripod. Of course, if you plan to spend several hours per day just by hand, maybe at the end becomes too heavy. But for 1 hour session, and in between you're also putting down, you're not holding always in this way. Between you check the scene and you're waiting for things to happen. So it's manageable. At least for me, it's totally manageable. Of course, if I plan to do several hours from morning to the evening, maybe I'm taking would be a monopod, but we'll see. Now I just wanted to have a free hand, let's say. The image stabilization worked well. As you can see, the photos are sharp, so there was no problem in shaking. I had just, like I've mentioned, problems with the light, because the light was not hitting well the front of the bird, and so I needed to have a slower shutter speed to allow to enter more light. And then, of course, some photos, they were unsharp because the slow shutter speed, but not because the image stabilization did not work. Was totally fine. I like my purchase, and I see myself doing more outdoor shoot with wildlife. This is also why I bought the lens finally. Maybe, don't know, can be that because at the lake there are a lot of animals, several kinds of wildlife. Maybe in future, if I have enough good photos, I can make a zine or a photo book, a small photo book only with wildlife at the lake. I don't know, this came to my mind just some moments ago. We'll see what the future will bring. But let me know in the comments about the images, what you think. Don't be afraid of telling that you don't like them, because I am the first telling that I don't like the results. So try to be honest and just tell me what you think about. I will be happy for. Until next time, thanks for watching, and bye-bye.